ETU, ETU, ETU wrestling fans. I am longtime independent wrestling fan Robert. Expect the unexpected was one whale of a debut event for ETUW. Ugh. By the way, I hadn't been in the Knights of Columbus in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey in over 2 years up until this show took place, and I'll more on that in a little bit. But of course, going in, everyone knew about two matches, but the rest of the card was kept under wraps to the fans. We kick off the night with what was a four-corner survival match, which of course Ring of Honor came up with long ago, where four men would be like in a four-way dance or a fatal four-way match, but like team rules kind of applied, where like two men would stand in the corner and tag, wait to be tagged or try to tag in, as we saw the Ghetto Samurai Nolo Kitano do battle with the Deaf Samurai Akira, the Prodigy Marcus Mathers, and Cashflow Ken Broadway. Very good opener on the four men's part. At one point, we were about to have a samurai battle between Akira and Kitano, but I forgot, was it Broadway or Mathers who tagged themselves in, and eventually they had their samurai battle and they butted heads. And the match ended with Cashflow Ken Broadway defeated Ghetto Samurai Nolo Kitano, the Deathmatch Samurai Akira, and the Prodigy Marcus Mathers. Very good way to start this event. And during this match, Suntan noticed me in the crowd, as did We Are Wrestling's founder, Pete Rosado. Pete Rosado, for those who don't know, also is the voice of BCW, Pre-Combination Wrestling. And unless I'm mistaken, I could have swore Greg Jones was there too, but maybe he didn't notice me. Next matchup was a women's match, as we saw Russian Dynamite Masha Slamovich, or is it Slamovic, do battle with the Space Jesus, Billy Starks. Early in the bout, the ladies went out on the floor. Masha powerbombed Billy on the guardrail, and she wound up in the crowd. They ended up having a little crowd brawl over the rail. Masha suplexed Billy on not quite the parquet floor, but I'm sure that floor doesn't budge, by the way. It's not concrete. Eventually, these ladies actually really, really tore it up in there. My first time seeing Billy Starks anywhere, and Masha Slamovich now part of Impact Wrestling, so she made it to TV. At one point, Billy hits Masha with a code red powerbomb, but something, I don't know what went wrong. The referee, I think, messed up. He made a 3 count, but he looks up and he puts up 2 fingers. So I guess he messed up. Eventually, Masha puts Billy on her shoulders, and I think she was like walking or running in the center of the ring. And Billy rolled forward with I think they call that a victory roll pin, and Billy Starks was victorious over Masha Slamovich, or Slamovic. ETU, hopefully you'll try to have more women's matches, or at least one woman's match every show if you can. Obviously, you'll have different ladies as we go along. All right, our next matchup, we saw Carlos Romo. He went up against Ricky Shane Page, who of course was CCW champion for a time, and I was shocked to find out that Ricky Shane Page used to wrestle under a mask as Christian Faith, who I first saw back at Ace Pro Wrestling back in like 2007, 2008. The fans really liked Ricky. We're singing Ricky's music as he came to the ring, so most of the fans were familiar with him. Ricky Shane Page won the match over Carlos Romo with a choke slam, and as Romo was on the way down, Ricky kicks him in the back. Very innovative move. Next up, a match which they said was 21 years in the making. We saw the Cambodian axe murderer Joker do battle with the cold-hearted player Danny DeMonto. early in the bout, Danny's out on the floor. He gets the microphone, and he was eventually said, "Bring out the fuckery," and eventually people were bringing out doors. There was like a board with or a door with like metal cans on them. Eventually, they they went into the crowd, and right across from the room for where I was sitting, they had a bit of a bar brawl where they're both Danny and Joker are sitting in chairs and they exchange punches, which I know Necro Butcher was known for that a lot over the years. They eventually keep going into the crowd. Uh, they came over right past me, and then they were right by the stage. Eventually, they come back to the ringside around between the ring and the guardrail. Joker uses a head and arm suplexes Danny onto that door or board with cans. Joker gives Danny an exploder suplex onto a door laying in the corner in the ring. And a short time after that, Danny hits that over-the-shoulder. Looks like he's going for a powerbomb, but he wound up giving an over-the-shoulder pile driver. And Danny pins Joker, and I forgot what he said. Took the microphone, and I forgot what he said. Then at that point, they did go to intermission. And Suntan, who watches these videos, he wanted me to say that, to tell everyone that he thinks that Suntan said that he thinks I'm like the best recapper in the business. Suntan, I'm not a part of the wrestling business. I'm a fan of the crowd. I don't, I pay money to watch the show. I'm not in the business. I'm not a wrestler, not a referee, not a ring announcer, not a commentator, not a promoter, not a booker, not a writer, not a valet, not a timekeeper, not a cameraman, not a video recorder. Well, I don't video record wrestling matches and stuff, but I'm not in the business. I mean, I do this, but I'm not in the business. I'm just a fan of the crowd. You should know that by now. Even though I hadn't seen you and so many others in years. And by the way, folks, I gotta say, being there and seeing so many for the first time in over a year or close to 2 years was feeling like a bit of a family reunion. And I'll get back to that later on. Unfortunately, I think, unless I'm mistaken, intermission ran longer than usual because I think all the ropes, or one rope wound up limp as a biscuit. And they actually switched the ropes, because initially when the ring was initially set up early in the day, I think the orange rope was in the middle, and they ended up putting the orange rope as the top rope, and they had like trouble tightening the turnbuckles to the ring posts, and I mean, I don't even know if that was Pro Wrestling Magic's ring or another promotion's ring. I don't know. Also during which I noticed Jason Bob 87, and I wouldn't say it really slowed things down with the show, but the intermission finally comes to an end, and we have out comes the Embassy. Well, ETU version, I suppose, as Prince Nana comes out with the Man of Steel, Mike Verna, the man who loves the number 3, the Greek god Papa Don, and Azrael, and Nana, who's one of the best promo men throughout the years, took the microphone. He said that any tag team or any faction dares to face us, come on out. And out comes Juba, Jaden Vallow, and they're followed by former ECW World Champion, the Franchise, Shane Douglas. Horrible impression on my part. Yeah, and eventually they have a 6-man tag right then and there. I forgot. Oh, actually, I forgot, was it Juba or Valor? One of them what got pinned as Azrael, Mike Verna, and Papa Don defeated Juba, Jaden Vallow, and the Franchise, Shane Douglas. After the match, the Embassy's doing a number on Juba, Vallow, and Douglas until Danny D'Amato hits the ring with a chair, and the Embassy gets out of Dodge, and Danny takes the microphone. He said he discovered Shane Douglas at 2 a.m., like most fans discovered him at 2 a.m. when ECW was on television. Truth be told, I actually first saw Shane Douglas when he was part of Bill Watts' UWF back in the 80s. But Douglas eventually takes the microphone. He says, "The franchise doesn't need anybody to save his ass." And he says, "Danny, we still have unfinished business." And he says to Danny he wants him in the chains. And that prompted a big ICW chant from the crowd, even a chant of Newark. So I don't know, case of cross-promoting, co-promoting. And then Danny eventually, I think he starts an ETU chant. I'm not sure. But yeah, that was something right there. Next up was one of the matches that was announced, as we saw the Duke, John Wayne Murdoch, challenge Alex Shelley for the IWTV Championship. One point, Murdoch had thrown Shelley into the crowd, and he tried to win by countout, but Shelley eventually got back in the ring at 9. Back in the ring, Shelley hits a slice bread number 2 on a sitting chair that was set up in the ring. During the match, Ricky Shane Page comes out. Murdoch got distracted for a short time, and Shelley ends up pinning Murdoch with a Barry Horowitz-esque type pin. Kind of like when Barry Horowitz defeated the late Chris Skip Candido. It was called a 3-quarter Nelson. Maybe I'm wrong, but it was reminiscent of that pinfall Horowitz was known for. After the match, Ricky is in the ring, and Murdoch looked right at him, and Murdoch knocked Ricky for a loop. So I don't know if that's telling us anything for a future ETU event or an ICW No Holds Barred event. Up next was the other match that was announced for the show, as ACH, who was part of Ring of Honor years ago, ended up in NXT as Jordan Miles, went up against Jonah, who was known as Bronson Reed in NXT. And, I don't know if it's me, but ACH put on a lot of muscle since the last time I saw him. And these guys had a very good matchup, and at one point ACH, did a deadlift German suplex on Jonah, but the end came when Jonah pinned ACH with a splash from the top rope. And Jonah took the microphone and said he was glad to be back on the independents again. And at that point, it was main event time for this show, as the main event, MANE, ringmaster or ringleader Midas, and I forgot his partner's name with the lion mask, and I apologize for that, as they took on the SAT, Jose and Joel Maximo, accompanied by their brother Will, and the Spot Monkeys, which were people wearing monkey masks, and I don't know if they were like jumping up and down like actual monkeys or not. And I think as the introduction was being played, I couldn't believe this. Danny D'Amato comes over to me, and he ends up snapping a picture of us, and he says he appreciates that he thanked and appreciated the fact that I came to the show. Very good matchup, which saw the SAT main event, by the way. They really had their moments, and the SAT sporting brand new gear. Eventually, the Spot Monkeys, I think they took some dive. Well, not took dives, but like whenever there was dives to the floor, they were all in the way to catch everybody. At one point, there was a big spot right in front of the side of the room where I was sitting on, and the guardrail was backed up too. Eventually, the end came with the SAT, hit the main event. One of them with the Spanish Fly and pinned him to win the match. And then they went into the crowd, and they had the microphone, and Jose, I forgot what he said, something about, he said either someone or convinced him to get off the couch and come back to wrestling, because Jose had not wrestled, unless I'm mistaken. I mean, Jose said 10 years, which was 2011, but I thought he stopped wrestling in 2010. And, they were calling out, they mentioned the Young Bucks, and there was another tag team they mentioned. I mean, I think somebody needs to... there has to be a promoter that's got to make that happen someday. SAT versus the Young Bucks. Because quite frankly, I mean, I don't think the Young Bucks really wrestle anywhere outside of AEW right now. But I don't think that match has ever happened. I mean, there's other matches I want to see. I mean, even mentioned about Jay and Mark Briscoe, which we saw numerous times over the years. I mean, I've watched the SAT since the early 2000s. They had great matches with Jay and Mark Briscoe, The Hit Squad, Divine Storm, Milk Chocolate. I don't know if they ever faced Milk Chocolate, but that would be good. I remember they wrestled Larry McKenney and Stormin' Norman. They opened up a USA Pro show a long time ago. What's the Dirty Rotten Scoundrels? Don't know if they ever got to wrestle the Natural Born Sinners, Homicide and Boogaloo. I mean, there's many, I don't know how many other great tag teams out there right now you could put the SAT against out there. I mean, there's teams out there, I know, but to be on their level and stuff. All right. Personal notes, everyone. It was great. Man, it was great seeing Jack Sabbath, Ryan Peterson, Larry Legend, who we talked a bit after the show was over, and there's a picture. And before I went out that door, before I did leave, ended up buying this Larry Legend I don't know how new it is, this Larry Legend t-shirt, because the one I used to have, I think the original one with the words "It's about to go down" on it, it was a 2X, and it shrunk in the wash. But this is a 3X shirt, which I know it'll be a little big on me. Oh man, wow. And ooh, brother. Let me see. Oh, by the way, Luigi's Restaurant on Mount Vernon Street, they got a good lasagna. But unfortunately, for those who normally go to Ridgefield Park for wrestling shows, unfortunately, it looks like Dante's on Main Street is closed, and I guess they're done for. Because, I mean, the sign is still up there, but the place is closed, so I don't know if they've gone out of business or it's going to eventually get turned into something else. Damn. Let's see, who else? Other stuff about this very show I can remember. I didn't get to meet Ryan Huber, or is it Huber? Huber. I think he's known as The Struggles on Twitter. I think he and Jack Sabbath were the two men who partnered up and put this thing together. And Jack said he wasn't surprised that I showed up for this one. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this. I mean, Jack. I don't know if ETU is going to be like ICW 2.0. I'm just hoping, for more continued success. Oh, how could I forget it? It was saw Elliot for the first time in so long. Wow. Oh, Lawrence. Mikey Mickendrew, I don't think he noticed me there, but Lawrence noticed me after the show was done. Ooh. Unfortunately, because I had to come right from work, I couldn't bring my usual bag with the megaphone in it. No return date was announced for the next Expect the Unexpected wrestling event. I don't know what other show titles you're going to have as time goes on, but obviously because we're in December, I guess next show is definitely going to be in the new year of 2022. But I would like to see... Wow. I mean, I don't know how many we saw on this show will be on the next show. I certainly would like to see the following wrestlers to appear in ETU. Dan Moff, Cade Lothbrock, formerly known as Stockade. There's more guys. Give me a moment. I mean, it's hard to remember everybody based on how independent wrestling has changed over the years. I mentioned Dan Moff, Demoff, Cade Lothbrock. Oh, man. Well, originally, Homicide and Myron Reed were originally going to be a part of the show, but they both had backed out. Hopefully, those two men will be a part of ETU's next show. I don't know if it'll be possible if ETU will eventually book Low Key or The Amazing Red. Trying to think of some other people here. Monster Mac. Man, I'm trying to think of some other people. I know it's kind of hard to remember everybody. Wow. I know they've got, there's a lot of people, I'm sure they want to book as time goes on and see how this goes. And, whoosh, yeah, I'm still blown away by this. It's just when I think I've seen so much in independent wrestling. It's like a show like this is like reminds me why I'm still a fan. Whew, oh man, so hard to remember who else or who else I'd like to see. Mm. Wow. Eesh. Yeah, that's the thing. Oh, another thing. Had I not taken off my hat or my mask, I don't think anybody would have known I was there. Because when I initially walked into the building, I looked at both Ryan Peterson and Jack Sabbath couldn't recognize me at first. I mean, again, if I kept my mask and my hat on the entire night, you probably wouldn't even Larry Legend probably wouldn't have known it was me. Well, there were a few moments as they were like throwing each other into the guardrails throughout the night. That those special lights in all four corners. I mean, they were bumping into those lights. Hopefully, those lights don't fall. Oh, I noticed Ref Ozzy was in attendance for this, but he wasn't used on the show. Wow, so much more I could say. I mean, it's just like once these shows end and go into books, and with the long trip home, just like Puddle of Mud said, everything's so blurry. I'm still shocked that Danny D'Amato did what he came over and had gotten a picture with me. I guess it's time to share a moment that I don't think I've ever mentioned with anybody here. If anybody remembers, Monday Night Raw was in Madison Square Garden the night after SummerSlam 2002. After the show had ended, Tony Kalman and I were outside by the employees' entry trying to find some friends. Instead, we saw Jack Sabbath and Danny D'Amato passing out flyers for an ICW event that happened that Thursday night. That very show was titled Nothing to Lose. And, that was like, so we kind of got lucky because if we didn't see them out there, we would have never known that show would have happened. And because SmackDown was preempted on Channel 9 due to like preseason football game. And the tickets were only like $10, and that wound up a very good show, and I still have it somewhere on videotape. ETU wrestling, definitely going to be something special. Definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with in 2022 coming up. I don't know if you're going to stick to that building in Ridgefield Park, or maybe run a show in the New York City area. That'd be great. Maybe a place that has a lot of room. But like it's gonna be something. This show itself was something. But I will end this by saying, ETU, 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 ETU wrestling. they let the wrestling speak.